That's a very big question in my mind. Why me?
You got me asking.
Yeah.
I'm asking, well, why me? Why not?
Now, some of you know me, I can speak and have confidence, but in front of this, man, I'm nervous.
I was nervous, to be honest. It's the first time I actually wrote notes on my phone, and I didn't have a chance to refer to it. But yeah, it was an interesting experience. Think of, do you have something that someone could be inspired from? A story of wisdom. Share that what was passed on to you. Share that what you have created based on your life experience. You don't have to be a top, celebrity to share something like, really inspiring. Through your life journey, through your challenges, something in your head whispers and gives you strength. I'm after that.
On Triple M, it's Michael for breakfast, and joining us in the studio now is local photographer Ben Yu. G'day, Ben.
I didn't get an answer. I had another question. Why not you? What made you so special that you don't deserve cancer? And I look at stats and all that, and I know like 1 in 10, 1 in 15, regardless, depending on cancer, someone within 1 in 10 means it hits home straight away. Your wife, your kids, your friends, your siblings and all that could get it. Would you take it for the team?
It shifted my perspective from being angry and sad and emotional like why me, to being thankful and grateful that thank God it was me.
I'm hoping a quote or wisdom and all that could shift someone's perspective too. Now, I'm only one man. That's where I like to bring in the community of Bunbury. I'm not after 100, 200 words of your life story, because a lot of people don't have the time with TikToks and all that. I want something impactful.
Then I start thinking, okay, how do I bring the element of my photography skills or experience to combine with something? It's like what you do, music and lyrics, right? Music captures the attention first, but what carries you on is the lyrics. To have their voice heard, not so much on what they have achieved, but what got them through. There would be times you almost gave up in terms of emotional or family or life or business. What is the voice in your head that got you through?
I learned something today. I try to satisfy too many different people. I think I went the wrong way. It's about getting things right. I don't look back and regret that. I compromised too much because I need to get this done. And I think I'm ready. I'm ready.
Now, my question is, it gets quite personal. You don't answer everything I ask because I'm just curious I'm curious about the journey more than destination. So my point of view, the book is not meant to be read on every pages. It's meant to open a certain page that speaks to you. Hopefully you think that is a sign. If that does, I know, go flip to page 97. There's 100 quotes there. Pick one. What if Bunbury have a collective voice that truly inspires and empowers? How many of us have been inspired and touched by a powerful quote or message that we came across or was passed down from parents, grandparents? And what's hardest for me is to have a photo shoot with nothing. Same backdrop, because everyone's equal. You're not in front of a Lamborghini or whatever things you have. Everyone's the same. Everyone gets the same shot. The only difference is the portrait must complement the message.
So the point is to make everyone on the same level and share your story. We went to a dark phase sometimes because you overthink of things that can't change, the past and all that. So I keep myself busy by taking bigger challenges. I take challenges, so I got no time to think about. I think this is what I came to know when I was podcasting and all that. And he said, this is nostalgic depression. So some people do get that. So I think I do get that. So I need to keep moving forward.
I think a lot of things happens for a reason, and a lot of things we just haven't connected dots to see the relevance yet.
Quote that I thought was most applicable to you, because I've heard you say it a number of times, and I really like it. I don't know what I don't know. And I think that just highlights you perfectly, because you have this extreme acceptance that you're not the professional in the room until you are.
Yes.
And even when you are, you still have this space to learn.
Yeah.
It's not at all what I expected.
Yeah,
because
okay.
I never saw any iterations of it, I don't think,
Yeah.
until we started this proofing
Yeah.
process. It surprised me when I opened it up and I saw it's 1 or 2 lines. You'd send me a version and I'd be like, oh yeah, that looks great. Let me go chat to production.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
this issue.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let me get it fixed up.
It get me to my drawing board again and again and again to doubt myself and say, okay, how can I use this as an opportunity to re-look over? So each time you reject and I improve something. Each time you reject, I improve something. Until I'm like, I don't know what else I can do. What you say you can't do is a challenge for me to try to make it work. And I look through this, 100 of them, perfect. Then I spot 2 mistakes. Like, wait, what else have I missed?
Yeah.
Then you go through the needle and the haystack, looking is there one thing, and then you realize it's perfect or close to perfect. You still got no trust anymore because you can't believe you missed that. And then you go back again, like, the funny thing, I go back, I still find something. There's always something to improve.
Yeah.
One portrait of you that is not about how good you look, but how you connect with people and how you connect with your quote.
If you're self-expressing, you can't expect everyone to be on your same path. And it might not be very successful. And that's fine if you don't care about success.
Yeah.
If you do want to be successful, you've got to find that space where you can still have your voice. You have to learn how to be an artist who can still do what people want but not compromise your own vision. Yeah, it breaks your heart if you don't get as many people coming to a show as you might like, but it doesn't matter. Like for that 40 minutes on stage or whatever, regardless of who's in the crowd, you still feel invincible. You're still having a really good time.
Because sometimes if you're going through really tough times, there might be one thing like traffic light might be green when you go through it, or, it might be just something very little, but to grab onto those things and to be happy about it.
I have conversations with my dad all the time and he has lots of regrets and yada yada. And I'm like, but it's sort of like, he wishes he could turn back time and not have gone to work and gone to that basketball game and or like left work a bit early to make the footy game or whatever, where it's like, work's always going to be there. Yes. And it's where you place your values and where you place your priorities. I had to let go of something. So, I had to, but at what cost? You know what I mean? The cost for that me would be probably my relationship and being there for my kids versus the business. Yeah. And again, circling back, it's like the business, in the scheme of life will be a big part of our life, but it's not our whole life, but the kids are for life.
People who have done research and ask people at their deathbed again, what mattered to you most? Not that work, not that travel, it's the family, it's a connection. Why is this happening to me? It just doesn't make sense. But then I've learned from that life doesn't make sense in general. There's so much that doesn't make sense. That's how it is. The communities know how to do death, dying, grief, and loss a lot better than health professionals, because death is a social event with a medical component. Yeah. It is not a medical event with a social component. If people are part of that dying process, their bereavement outcomes are a lot better because they've had enough time to say goodbye, to share things, rather than whisked away. The values of death is what we need to live by.
How do you learn to let go?
Let me know when you know. I still struggle with that. What you're feeling right now is temporary. It's going to be okay. When you're young, and especially for me in primary school, I felt like what I was feeling and the people I was around, that was really permanent and felt like there wasn't a way out. But being it's okay. It was such you're not even going to be able to remember it, 11 years from now. There are days of burnouts or days where you're just I can't look at this. I don't want to look at it today. But yeah, you have that path and you push through that to kind of let everything else fade. Yeah, or the situation, embrace where you're at, push to get those earlier.
I spent a year just walking on the beach every day. I lost so much weight. I was crying every day. I couldn't stop crying. And I was in such a bad place. But then one day I woke up and I thought, I'm going to start sharing some old photos online. And the name just came to me straight away, Memories of Bunbury. But it wasn't until I started doing that I had something to get up for in the mornings and something to do with my mind, to think, because it just It was in such a bad place and it didn't have anywhere to go. And it saved me a few times since when things have gone really bad, like when my dad died. I feel a bit funny because I'm there with my scrubbing brush in the grave and I'm getting moss and lichen off the side of one.
Were you alone?
Yeah. But then I looked around and there's no one around the whole cemetery. And you can just hear the wind and I'm thinking, wow, this is a bit strange. I didn't even know him. I shouldn't have done it. But you'd walk past all those graves and you just want to clean them and fix them and get the weeds off them because that's a person in there and they had a story. Like, who's going to remember them with all the overgrown graves that have got nobody anymore? If we don't look back to look at what worked in the past, how are we going to know how to move forward? I think you've got to make a change and leave something worthy when you go. And for me, if it is all these photos and the history and everything, I'd be quite proud to leave that when I go because, like you said earlier, otherwise, what have you been here for?
Good morning, Radio West. Cliff here. Hi, I'm calling for Cliff Reeve, please. I said, yeah, it's Cliff here. He goes, hi, this is Gene Simmons from KISS. And you really want to be cool, but you can't. You can't. Gene Simmons is on the phone. And in the early days, there were a couple of people who told me I wasn't good enough. And I believed them. A lot of stuff that used to bother me, personal stuff and that, now I just sort of go, more and more, I care less and less about more and more. There was a little fella who had cancer. This is a while ago. 10, 12, maybe 12 years ago, I think, thereabouts. And I was talking to his dad about the fact that his son was going to die. That I'll never forget. What can you say to a man who has lost his wife and his 2 kids in the most horrible way? So that's probably about the most difficult that I've done. And I finished it, and I just went away and wept.
Step back a minute. Don't be the first to talk. Don't be the first to answer. Have that humility, which then can transcend into kindness. But humility to say that you're not the smartest in the room is so important, because the joy of learning and understanding new things, you'll never get there unless you're humble. If you're not humble, then you'll think you'll know it all and you'll never enjoy that learning. And knowing that change, it can be scary on the front, messy in the middle, but once you're to the other side, it's glorious. But that messy in the middle, you've got to go through it. And you peel back the ivy, you find that door, you open it up, and what an amazing world in front of you. And as you go through the door, you leave the door open, and then you see others at the door, and you try to encourage them to come through because you want to share how good this is.
And I always remember she said to me, I feel I've never been able to leave you anything. I've never given you anything. I have nothing to give you. I have no money. I have no this, nothing to give you. And I said, Mum, you are the most important person in my life. You've given us everything. You gave me morals. You gave me strength. You've been right there with me all the way through my life. You've instilled in us what family is, what love is, what everything is. You've given me everything to cope with life. I think because you've made us rich with your love and knowledge, and you've always fought and kept us together. No matter what, you have 2 feet and a heartbeat like anybody else. They cut you, you bleed red blood like anybody else. You're no different than anybody else. You're no better than anybody else, and you're no less than anybody else. So you walk side by side with anybody and everybody and be proud of who you are. I woke up today, and some people just don't get that honour or privilege of waking up today. I woke up today. Today's going to be a good day.
He taught me about why do you hug sideways and not the front, because it's too hard.
And I remember one time I went to a party and someone said I was the ugliest person he's ever seen. And that really, at 19, that hit hard, but to overcome those sort of things, I could have went the other way, went back into my cell then. And I thought I'll change my perspective, and he probably didn't mean it. People say hurtful things, maybe what they're going through. So that was a big one too, that I've learnt that you need a thick skin in this world. And we've all had our down times and we all go for the darkness a bit, but I come to believe there's always positives in life. You just gotta look for them and just find a purpose. People would stare. Yeah. And I know looking back now, I don't think they meant anything by it. They were more a bit different. But as a kid, it was always a bit unnerving, but I just learned to just deal with it. Yeah. You can find inspiration everywhere in this world if you're prepared to search for it. I found the best place to start looking is within yourself.
The right and the wrong decision can just be marginally different. But the worst thing you can do is make no decision. My uncle passed away 10th April 1991. I would have been 26 years old, 25 years old. I was righto, stand up, you got this, there's no one else around here. I remember a lot of times sort of not feeling comfortable, not wanting to do with that. And I say, well, I just got to know this stuff. I've got to know it, I've got to do it, I've got to get out there. And your starting position is always a yes until there's a reason for it to be a no. You don't start no until there's a reason for it to be yes. But what you didn't know was that you were actually working on it. There was a big preparation, and people say, oh, that just happened accidentally or fell in front of you. You go, well, it did, but it didn't. But I didn't know that it did.
I've never been a high academic. Yeah. Even in high school, my counselor said, he looked at my grades and goes, you're never going to get into University of Washington. And I went like, you know what? I could do it. I could do it. Went to go for interviews for my first job, and I had been told on a Friday, the job's yours. And I went, great. So I went, you celebrate with your friends and you go, I've got my first job in architecture, only to then ring up on the Monday and go, so when do you want me to come in? And this, that, and the other. They go, oh, sorry. One of the partners has hired, their friend they've hired someone else, and blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, what? So I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do this, So then I, went back out, hit the pavement. Sometimes a negative thing can turn into a positive thing. Sometimes decisions are made for you. Why does Bunbury exist? And, it's a whole series of things geologically that created Bunbury to, its foundations. And it's that basalt that Bunbury basalt that lies underneath. Otherwise we wouldn't have that would have just washed away, because we had this bit of basalt that poked out that held us. Like that created that point, and that created this little environment, the whole estuarine system and stuff like that. And you're like, wow, learning some of these things. How do we build better for in the future, knowing what we're sitting on?
If I can make it easier for someone, I've gone home with some feeling in my heart that I've helped a person through possibly the worst day of their life. And you've got to walk with them. You can't walk in their shoes with them, but you can walk alongside them and lead them in the right direction through that journey of grief. Write down how you feel, and you will find that eventually the pain goes away, but not completely, because it's changed. But I think grief shared is grief diminished. All good decisions are just based on common sense. Think through it first before you act, and make that decision.
Laughing at me wasn't nice. I think it actually helped me to be like, oh, just do it. Just not prove them wrong, but prove them wrong that you can do it, and also prove it to yourself that you only need to believe in yourself to get anywhere in life. Really know where your life's going to lead you, but you have to believe in yourself that you're going to get to a good place that's going to benefit you. And kind of like an expansion of that, you don't have to achieve all those dreams. But even if you just kind of tick a couple off, it's like, I have achieved something. This is my list, and I've done 50% of my list. Like, that's amazing. Yeah, lots of dreams. Don't know if we'll get all of them achieved, but it's better to have a lot than none. Obviously, as a kid whose parents are divorced, I thought, oh my God, my life is over. This is the worst thing in the entire world. Probably a lot of sadness, seeing my parents sad, made me kind of think, oh my God, like, is this what happens in every marriage? Is this what's going to happen to me later in life? I think it's her strength that kind of really showed me that even when the shittiest of things happen in your life, you can still get up and keep going. When you look at, what you're experiencing compared to what other people in this world are experiencing, it's not that major, and you will get through it.
I was 17, I was drunk, and I don't remember a thing. I just remember waking up in hospital and thinking, how am I going to get around? What can I do about it? When they took me off that, the pain was crazy. The pain was so bad that I didn't even have time to think about what am I going to do? They were trying to just give me stuff, and then one day I just said, no more. I want to be able to think myself. There was people in the same room with me being poor me. I thought, I'm not being like that. At the start, I was like, oh, I don't want to be seen. But then I thought, what is it really going to matter? At the end of the day, what someone else thinks of me. He's got no legs. The amount of kids that have said that. And they don't notice both, that I've got a missing arm and legs. They'll only notice that I've either got missing leg or missing arm, not both. Don't drink and be near train tracks. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's my motto.
It's not an answer that we like to give. People talk about how much time they've got left because it depends on your mindset. It actually depends on the person. And if the person has a negative mindset, they're going to go quicker. If they've got a positive mindset, they will last. They will outlive anything that anyone might ever guess. So I will never put a figure on it. And even every moment of the time they have left is different because they're positive and they're smiling and they make the most of it. So people that have got a positive mindset will make the most of anything. Your why not me was actually you found a silver lining that, oh, hey, this was much better than the kids getting it or anything else. But if you're the type of person that can find that silver lining and use that as your hope to move forward, you will do better.
You just give it with your heart. You don't give it because you want the reward. The reward, you've got to keep working to be able to do that. Any decision we make today is a good one, but tomorrow could be a bad one. So, but today was a good one. The whole decision, they're good. You can't say, well, gee, I should never done it. That's the one. And if it's not bloody good, well, you keep working to put that one right.
I was surfing and a guy got taken next to me. Instantly went, shit, what am I doing? If things can just happen like that and just disappear, then my whole vision on what matters changed. Life is fragile. Things can be taken away very quickly. You got to savor every moment you've got with your friends and your family. And then on top of that, I always figure if you have to work, and that's most of your kind of day, the 9 to 5 grind, if it's, a lot of people it's a lot longer, you might as well do something that you like doing. And even better, you need to find meaning in what you do. If what you love doing helps and creates value for somebody else, then it's not work anymore. Do things that matter is a softer approach because it creates more time for reflection.
There's two important things to life: birth, the day you're born, and the day you die. But it's what you left in between, that legacy. That's the important thing, brother. It's not dots, it's not X-ray art, but that story is saltwater because of the story I've told you about living here.
Wherever you are, there you are. Scary.
I was only young, 22. I was strict to come here because when I arrived at the airport, he had abandoned me. I was actually being trafficked to work. Passport taken away, money gone.
Oh, wow.
I was at their mercy. I wanted to go home, but my family wouldn't have me. They said, no, you're out. You bring shame. I had to find my way. I believe that the people who have come to help me, this would be my way of carrying forth what was done for me. Let me do it for other people. Because I knew what it was like to have nobody reaching out. If I didn't have these experiences, I would not have thought about social work. I can't save the whole world. One person at a time.
I wasn't accepted by my Aboriginal community, and I wasn't really accepted by the white community because of the fairness. Yeah. We had to leave our Aboriginality, history, lifestyle, culture, however you want to label that. We had to leave that on the back burner, but we lived it. Yeah. We still lived it. All I've said to, have you thought about what the other person might be going through? What sort of home life have they got? It may not be the case, but it diffuses the stress. You were challenged with that. I think we're all put here and given challenges to test our strength.
I remember every single fatal crash I've been to. I remember every single suicide. I remember every single sudden death I've been to. I remember every single knock I've done on the door to tell someone at 2 o'clock in the morning their son or daughter or wife or husband aren't going to come back today. I remember that as clear as a bell. Went through one period where we lost 7 people in 10 months down at Dunsborough, and I crystal clear in my mind is seeing the sudden death of my little daughter, her 9-year-old friend, and I am the coming back, and my wife and I really talking about, do we tell her tonight or do we let her go to school tomorrow? And then she went to school the next day where they announced it in front of everyone, and we were there. All the parents got asked to stay around, and as soon as they said it, she looked around and stared at me, and it was really sad that Dad didn't tell her before she went to school, and Dad knew, and Dad went there and things like that. So, and these moments, I'm just starting to get a little bit emotional then. That's the pressure and the stress that comes with the job, and that's what all our police deal with. Having said all that, I would not change a single thing.
The 3 words. Courage, Budja. Courage is knowledge. Budja is country. Mort is family. We need to connect and ground and come back to those things all the time. In today's society, I don't have a lot. What I do have and what I can give to make a small difference in somebody else's life. Create a smile, makes a change. Sometimes you just don't say anything, Ben. Sometimes you just sit with them. And it doesn't matter whether there's no conversation for at least, I don't know, it could be half an hour at least, before you say, are you okay? And it has to be one step at a time when someone's in so much deep and sorrow and grief, you know. I've been there. And it could take your life away, and it could take your spirit away. And me as a Noongar person, as an Aboriginal person, my spirit's gone, I'm empty. And that's what I look in somebody else, to feel that your spirit is still alive. It doesn't have to be strong, but it's still alive. And you still have that sense of pride and identity and culture within you. And then we can harness that to bring you back to yourself.
If you worry all night, you can't do anything the next morning.
3 of us could read the same affirmation, but you take out of it what you want to take out of it. And it's the same with the quote. Because like Dad might have quotes from his, say, to do with his Olympic, career or a business career, but you wanted to pick one that was relatable for anybody that was to read.
But like that quote that you actually chose for Dad, absolutely nailed Dad's way of thinking. When the cyclone was going through Bunbury, Dad came home from work and he sat down, and we were in this little wooden house, and every time the wind would blow, the carpet would lift up the tables, and he went to the fridge and he got all this food out, and he's sitting there. My grandmother, my mum's mum, would go, "What are you doing? How can you eat at a time like this?" You know, and he's going, "Well, if we're going to die, at least I'll die with a full stomach. Like, why am I worrying about what's going to happen with the thing?" And he's trying to eat his dinner, and he had a card table that kept lifting up, and he'd just sit there and he'd be going up and down. And he's like, not a care in the world.
She woke him up like 3 a.m. because she was worried about it and she couldn't sleep. And he was annoyed that she woke him up to say this. He said, "Well, look at it this way, you know, if in the morning, if I'm still alive, then I'll deal with it then. At least I've had a good night's sleep. And if I've died, then it's your problem.
I don't have to worry about it. I'm not losing any sleep over it.
Father Evan dropped everything.
He
and
literally
just
dropped everything,
drove down,
Holy
Holy Communion.
gave Dad the Holy Communion, read him, and the change in my dad, whether or not there was this, I can go now. It was like he was at peace, that he's, yeah.
Everyone has said the same thing. Like, that no one has captured Dad in the way that you've captured his essence of who he was, and cheekiness in that one photo. And we use that at the funeral, and it's ended up being such a beautiful tribute.
My why is the message that changed my life. Just that one verse, one message, man, that changes perspective. If everyone carries something with them, that's what I'm after. That's my goal.